This is eCoffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
With AI taking over pretty much everything, I feel like there's this big push toward more in-person experiences. And I was looking over your website, and you've had your hand in a lot of these experiential sort of marketing, brand activations type of different events. Can you tell me a little bit more about, let's say, Camp Poosh and other events like that incorporate marketing with in-person events?
Yeah, so Camp Poosh is essentially like a big melting pot of all these different brands that we bring together with Poosh as like the main focus. What it really starts with is kind of like our bread and butter. Like, okay, we're doing camp, we're bringing special influencers. Courtney's the camp instructor. She's all about wellness. She's about lifestyle. So what kind of brands, what kind of luxury activations can we bring that you wouldn't necessarily see anywhere else with,
Mm.
our competitors are like Revolve Fest and all these other events that are happening during the same exact weekend and right before the
Mm.
festival. So essentially we work to build up these partnerships like throughout the year, and Camp Poosh is like one of the biggest events that are part of those partnerships. And typically the offline events tend to be a little bit harder to like track for like ROI and those types of things.
Mm.
So we work into our contracts with the partners like, hey, we're going to do social coverage. Hey, we have our own coverage on our platform, but then you also get your editorial recap. So you get pictures, you kind of see the behind the scenes of everything going on and how we bring it all to life. And then you get to
Mm.
see the final product too. And what's cool about Camp Poosh is there's always a level of like musical talent that comes. And I
Mm.
think that's something that's like a real draw. You kind of can see that with any like Coachella pre-party, but we
Mhm.
just like pride ourselves on kind of getting like unique talent and something that's a little bit more like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that they got them, or oh my gosh, I can't believe that they are actually coming out to perform, because it's maybe not someone that you would normally think of or someone that typically doesn't go to the desert, and they
Mhm.
essentially are happening to show up at Camp Poosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, we like to work with a lot of different brands that you typically wouldn't see in like an experiential or like in real life experience. So
Mm.
we've worked with Lemon8, which is an app. So you can create content in the Lemon8 content. So we like to do play on words and like just do fun, interesting interaction or activations with the brands that you normally wouldn't see in real life.
Mm.
How experiential can you get with an app when
Yeah.
we try to like push the boundary and make it so you do get an experience in real life with an app?
Mm. Experience in real life. We were just talking before this about when we're the most creative, the time of day that we're most creative,
Hmm.
and we were both kind of agreeing that, like, oh my gosh, after like 9 p.m. is when we just come alive with all these ideas. And that was one of the ideas that I was thinking of, is again back to that first point, like with AI taking over everything, how can I create experiences for like a go to market strategy, which is like, how do I introduce a product to a cold audience that is not just like a, hey, sign up here, like get one
Hmm.
month free, or do a free trial. Like, how do I bring that experience to life and like incorporate, like there's like an interactive app on the phone that gets sent back and forth, or maybe I have to go like find something or do like a augmented reality kind of Pokemon Go type of deal.
Hmm.
I think these sort of experiences people are craving because everything is just becoming like, it's popping more with AI in certain areas, but it's also becoming more bland because everything is fancy on the screen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like outside of marketing, but just like an example of AI taking over and people being like upset. Zendaya and Tom Holland I guess they didn't really announce, but their stylist announced that they, in fact, are married. They got married, they had the wedding, everything. and all you can see across socials is AI versions of what people think that they wore. And, it's just like, why, like, why do you feel the need to do that?
Yeah.
But people like are upset that people are doing like AI versions because it's like they clearly wanted the privacy. They clearly wanted to be in the
Yeah.
moment, like just it with their friends, intimate setting. So it's just
Mhm.
interesting to see how contrasted it is on one side. Like AI is great, but then it's like also can you leave the AI behind because nobody like
Yeah.
there's a reason there's no photos of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
crazy to see the contrast between like yes, we can use it to help us, like I think for me, AI is most helpful with breaking down data and like you were explaining earlier, like SEO and like really understanding what to do with it
Mhm.
versus the creative part that humans are able to generate and come up with versus,
Mm.
doing math, like algorithms, all these things. So I feel like AI is better suited for that versus
Mhm.
what, me and you can create being humans and understanding like what other humans do and what other humans
Mm.
want to do and the real connection between people in real life.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, the data part is like AI is supposed to take over the boring stuff that makes our life,
Exactly.
less enjoyable, but why would we release it into the wild on the creative side of things?
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's kind of a dividing technology, if you
Mhm.
will. And I think that, yeah, if people aren't getting on it and like figuring out how am I going to use this to my advantage, like they will be a part of the group that is being impacted negatively by that. You have worked with like something else in the marketing and in the agency world. We're constantly talking about how we can provide more value in order to gain a higher ticket price. Basically, we
Mhm.
want to work like for the most part, we want to work with fewer higher value clients rather than a bunch of low value clients. I mean, there's
Mhm.
many reasons for this, but being in like luxury activations, luxury brands, working with Kardashians, like how do luxury brands think about how they present themselves that you see is like different than normal brands, let's say?
Would say that like luxury for most brands isn't about perfection, it's more
Mm,
about control. So,
mm,
um like being able to control who receives certain gifts, being able to control the like narrative behind certain things,
mm,
why they're more luxury, why you pay more for something that you could potentially find cheaper elsewhere.
mm,
So kind of in like just an example like the gifting suites, like they're moving it fast, like there's thousands of people going into this like chaotic place to try to grab something that's like exclusive and
mm,
it's high demand. So whenever we kind of create a space for that, we want to stay disciplined with the aesthetic of things and
mm,
create like a functional space that allows the luxury to really be like honed in on without feeling like we can't refill it fast enough for the
mm,
experience. So like, for example, we worked with Lemmy on like many of Courtney's events, especially Camp Poosh, and being
mm,
able to kind of bring the aesthetic of her ingredients in all of her products, all of the like pieces that make them unique and not full of preservatives. They don't have all of the bad chemicals that other products have.
mhm,
Being able to really understand that with the brand and then relate it visually is kind of where our team like takes the steering wheel and
mm,
really puts everything together. So just like allowing the aesthetic to be like disciplined even if the area or the moment or event is chaotic. And I think
mm,
that can kind of be relayed to every event. Like when you have a certain product or brand that you're working with and you know that their aesthetic is very like specific, being able to put them somewhere else that's not like, their store or their website or their Instagram and really honing in on their aesthetic disciplines is key when you're trying to do like build partnerships or just
mm,
present it in real life versus being on social or something that's like social first and bringing it in real life. I think it takes a lot of time to do
mhm,
that in order
mhm.
to make sure the luxury feel is still there, even if it's, out in the desert.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine how
Another
difficult that is.
Yeah. Another
Yeah.
example, Wella. It's like a very well-known hair care brand, and they're known for being in salon and used by like Wella professionals or,
Mm,
hairstylists. So being able to create something that's more translated through like luxury, but still feels relevant to like a camp aesthetic was one of our challenges. And we, you just kind of have to go back and forth and communicate with the brand, like, hey, like this is the overall look and feel of the full event. And then this is how yours is going to translate to be a little bit more elevated,
Hmm.
but still feel relevant to being in the desert and a little
Yeah.
bit more rustic, but not as like polished as you normally would see it. And you like majority of the time, everyone is super happy with our spin and take on something at camp versus something that's what they would like pop up with in one of their salons,
Mm-hmm.
for example.
Hey, we hope you're enjoying the coffee and the conversation so far. This show is powered by Digital Web Solutions, and if you've ever wondered how the biggest brands actually build authority, this is it. DWS has a massive network of over 250,000 publishers, real sites that help you rank on Google, and more importantly, stay visible in AI search. It's the heavy lifting most teams just can't do on their own. As a thank you for listening, they're offering an exclusive free strategy call just for our eCoffee listeners. It's a great way to map out your authority plan for 2026. Just click the link below to book yours and see how they can help scale your brand. All right, now let's get back to the show. Yeah, I really like what you were saying about the controlling the brand narrative and like keeping the aesthetic basically consistent. Like you want to have brand consistency in all environments, and the story behind the brand as a value proposition. Maybe the materials. Like, okay, I was just in some fancy mall recently. I told you I was in California. I was in some fancy mall, and I was going down like the strip of all the luxury brands. And I was like, okay, this jacket that I really liked is from Burberry or somewhere. This jacket is like the quality of the jacket is nicer than, let's say, a Nike jacket, but it's not 10 times as nice,
Yeah.
The
So that
quality
makes you
is
think
not
if
functionally 10 times
I'm paying
as
10
good.
times the price as I would
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
Nike, but I still don't feel that 10 times over the quality,
Yes.
10 times over this. But what you have to think about is also the perspective of when you wear the Nike jacket and that logo versus when you wear the Burberry jacket and that instant recognition. If someone sees it on the runway, but then they see it on you, they instantly have that. There's a correlation between the runway and you. You know what I mean? Like it came directly from this high fashion house onto you. And so that's where you're now carrying that luxury feel. And I think that's what really kind of like inspires and like persuades people's decision making is when they see it somewhere else and they know that what it represents and how much, like someone knows you paid 10 times over for that jacket versus like a Nike jacket. So I think it's also like leveling up what others perceive of you with that piece, which is crazy to think about. And like there's a lot that goes into that with just like psychology and like product knowledge and brand awareness and all of those things. So in the grand scheme of things, people who care about that and who care about fashion are going to stand behind it. And then people who don't care about that and don't value fashion won't. So it just depends. Like, maybe those brands they're not convincing you enough. You know what I mean? Like they haven't like presented a product or given you an experience that really persuaded you to continue purchasing or to make that first step,
Yeah. The
'cause, like,
experience.
once you like I think about it too, like once you graduate from like a Walmart hoodie to a Nike hoodie, there's that difference too. There's the Target hoodies and the Target brands that are athletic, and then you have Nike, and then you have North Face. So like that kind of transition, it kind of just it levels up each time. And I think once you feel like, okay, like this is where I'm at, this is what I like, you kind of are like, okay, I'm ready to find this new brand or another elevated like piece that I'm graduating into, which I think is crazy because you have all these like evolutions of purchase power and like your perspective of the brand and then your, emotional attachment and then how you're treated when you wear something. So it all kind of ties together, which is insane. And that's something that we can't even, as marketers, we can't even document or like track. Like those are all just pieces that happen in like the human brain that's just you can't track it. Like when I mean, we can do tests and we can do surveys and try to understand that like customer journey, but that's something that is just a
Yeah.
part of it. We understand that it could potentially be there, but there's no A to B for that decision, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, as a luxury brand, I'm going to market to people who already interested in the luxury brand. I'm not going to market
Mhm.
to the people who wear Zara and trying to get them to convert. It's just like,
Mhm.
no, it's like if you know it, like you know it. And you know what? Talking about choice and like the choice of the consumer, what I realize is that people make their choice based on their idea of quality about themselves. Like they get to
Yes.
choose everything, right? Like I
Mhm.
chose this shirt. I didn't just find it, I chose the color and the design of my backdrop and these headphones and everything, And if somebody is wearing something, and this extends obviously beyond brands,
Yes.
but if they're let's just say wearing something that doesn't have a designer brand, the thought that I maybe give toward that person is like, oh, they don't have control of their choices. Like that's what comes
Mhm.
through to me. Is like the people who can choose to pay, $1,500 for a t-shirt is like, oh, they
Mhm.
made that choice and they have the ability to make that choice, right? And
Yes.
those are like thinking of my audience and the agency founders out there who are like, well, it's a competitive market. I need to compete on price. It's like, well, if you raise your price and you can communicate the story and the brand value and talk to the right person, then you will find people who will consciously make the choice to pay more money to work with you specifically. They're not just looking
Mhm.
for a commoditized solution. They're looking to work with you.
Exactly.
End rant.
Even to add to that, pricing does have a lot to do with the perception, right?
Oh
So if
yeah.
something is priced higher and it's the same exact as something that is lower, people tend to think that the higher priced item is better quality because of how we've kind of engineered everything else around that. So,
Yep.
just like an example, one of my friends has this amazing program that connects AI to like Shopify and does all of these great things. And he's priced it at, like a moderately priced 10K for the month to do all of these things and help with e-commerce and all of that. And
Yeah.
yet when he meets with some of his prospective clients, they're like, "Oh, well, why is it so inexpensive?" And he's like, why wouldn't it be? Like
Yeah.
I want it to be accessible to everyone to make everyone's lives easier. So, at that point, it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to help people out, but they still don't see the value in it when it's priced low. So
Yep.
I might as well bump it up to, 25K, 30K so that they
Yeah.
understand like the value of it because they're confused as to why it's less expensive than, being
Yeah.
honest about the price and being like, hey, this is like what I'm good at and this is going to make your life easier, but here's, another 15, 20K because you still don't see the value in it, which is kind of crazy to me, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, there's
Yeah.
like a lot of his competitors are priced at like 50K, 45K,
Yeah.
60K, and he's like, "Well, I don't need that much. Like I would rather have, 3 clients that are going to pay that and then
Yeah.
I'll be fine versus like you were saying, 2 or 3 higher paying clients, which
Yeah.
ideally he would do, but he was confused and I was like,
Yeah.
"It's
Yeah.
because your offering is so good." They're like, "Is it? Is it?"
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah. Yeah.
price doesn't show your
Yeah.
value, but
Exactly.
truthfully,
Exactly.
he's just a good guy and he's pricing it at what it should be.
If only everyone were like that. If only the world worked that way,
Exactly.
Madeline. Seriously.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm
But
like,
you're right. Like
wishful
the
thinking.
signaling, there are other ways that we can signal, right? You have a story which sends a signal, right?
Mhm.
You can limit things. So their availability is a signal, price is a signal, association is a signal, right? Like that's where the influencer marketing kind of comes in. It's saying like, hey, our brand is associated with Kourtney Kardashian. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
that, talk about sending a signal to people. What I want to know from you, how you approach, let's say, influencer marketing. Like how I know influencers get a ton of inquiries every day. Like maybe there's a strategy or a tactic or a principle that you can share that will help us cut through the noise.
Yeah. I think with my experience, just being at Fashion Nova and Poosh, knowing that both of these, there's kind of like two scenarios that I've experienced. So Fashion Nova, you have, a huge roster of influencers that you can choose from, and it's super easy. Just whatever whatever you want, you can get because
Yeah.
there's so many of them. So there, it's more about like quality over quantity for
Mm.
me. Just knowing like there's so many people that have Fashion Nova in their bio and they receive the product and they get paid to promote the product. So
Mm-hmm.
really honing in on the quality of their content versus the quantity of
Mm.
influencers out there. And that's where we go into the price point, right? Like we pay someone a higher value because their quality is better,
Mm.
genuinely like love the product and know how to speak to it, and they kind of give us a return on investment, right? So they are able to bring in sales, not just social metrics. That's
Mm.
kind of where I look at it, is like, okay, they can do all the things that everyone else can do, but can they bring the company some money? Can they
Yeah.
produce sales? Can they increase their orders every month?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, like let's go for it.
Yeah.
Whereas with Poosh, it's a smaller roster. There's not as many slots open. So then you want to go for who can we trust, because it's such a small group of people that we're bringing in. Are they, going to be a part of like what Courtney brings to the table? And are they going to be, for lack of a better word, able to mesh with like her values
Yeah.
too? Because it's not just, a big company where there's really no like face of the brand. Fashion Nova does have like their CEO and like, there's no really like founder led content or founder led connections. The
Mm-hmm.
founder is awesome and he's super successful and has done so much, but he's not mingling with the people like on a day-to-day basis. He's not going to the events unless they're like the private ones, and so we
Mm.
want to make sure that we can trust the creatives, but we can also know that they'll be representing Courtney in a way as well. Those kind of two conflicting, it's like quality over quantity, and then also personalities and ways that we can like bring them together without, diminishing what the brand truly stands for, what Courtney's all about. There's a lot more vetting, a lot more approvals, a lot more understanding like what their core values are and like their overall lifestyle too, which is a little bit different. Fashion Nova is like,
Mm.
can you wear the clothes? Yes or no? Great. Can you get the sales? Awesome. And
Yeah.
then Poosh is more, okay, like you're gonna be here with us like in person.
Yeah.
That's kind of the difference, like being in person and being able to mesh with like the Poosh team because it's really small. There's only like 20 people on the team.
Mm.
Can you be around Courtney? Do you have the same values as her? Can you represent the brand? And so it's a lot closer to the heart, I would say,
Yeah.
than where you have, 2,000 to 3,000 influencers per person up in Fashion Nova, which is like a lot.
Yeah.
And just being able to, like, as a whole, trusting the creative people to send the right messages across the board too, because, there's I think more recently there's a lot more cancel culture than we're used to.
Oh yeah.
So also just picking the right people, and with the rise of TikTok, I feel like there's so many more, I guess, not scandals, but just like things that pop up where it's
Mm.
like you never know if you're being recorded, so you better
Yeah.
act right. So like
Yeah.
just things like that.
Yeah.
Even just like the rise of like influencers as celebrities or influencers who, have the opportunity to go on shows like The Bachelor or Love is Blind or like just different things like that where we see like an influencer put on like a bigger platform and then seen from a broader audience or like a more of like a unfiltered
Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to think about there too. If we're,
Yeah.
like a lot of times you do like to partner with someone who already has that momentum in the industry and then they kind of start popping off other places and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, are they still upholding the brand values? Are they still
Mm.
representing like what we're about? Can we continue this partnership? So just
Mm.
really understanding like all of those factors. Obviously it's easier in hindsight to know like, oh, like that we partnered with her once, but we're not working with her again after that.
Huh.
But
Mm.
you can never
Love
really
Island.
anticipate those things. Exactly. You can never
Yeah.
anticipate those things, but just trying to understand like once we would like work with an influencer with at Poosh, we would like to have them back because we've like gotten to know them and we like work with them so intimately at small events, big events.
Yeah.
Just building those relationships and really allowing them to be like trusted in a close knit space, and then knowing that they can also get the job done, which is great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a good balance.
Yeah, finding a good balance, and I can appreciate like the difference in the quality of people. I mean, it kind of goes back to the perception and the signaling basically. Like you want to have the
Mhm.
right people associated with your brand, and as
Exactly.
AI continues to take over the execution of tasks, it will not
Mhm.
necessarily. I feel like the businesses and the agencies and the marketing teams of the future are not going to be the ones of like who has this skill, like who has this
Mhm.
specialist skill, but it's more like what type of people do I find that I work with the best? Like
Mhm.
what kind of people can I spend a lot of my time with? What kind of people like have creative tendencies or skill sets or like knowledge or interests that complement my skill set? And like I'm going to find those hubs, and I feel like that
Mhm.
business of the future is not going to be one person like with one company. It's going to be almost like Courtney or another sort of influencer where they're like, I collaborate. I do all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff and I learn from everybody. And then I apply different strategies, tactics, mindsets, ideas all over. And this cross pollination is what's going to create deeper niches, and it's going to
Mhm.
create, I think, a lot of opportunity because like the speed at which to put something into the world now and create something is like it's almost to the speed of thought. Like if I have a
Mhm.
thought, all I have to do for me, I just speak it into my computer and like shortly after it's created.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people with the, I guess, like, shift in career path, like, typically you would go to school, get your degree, find a job in your degree, and that's there you go. The next 30 years, 40
Yeah.
years, 50 years, 60 years, that's what you're doing.
Jeez.
And then you get to retire and you have, that time, it's gone. But
Yeah.
now we have so much that's helping us do so many things in different ways. And we also have the platforms to connect with each other without having to leave the house. So it's crazy
Mm,
that you can potentially collaborate and interact with people and not even have to physically do anything. You can
yeah.
be going in all day, and, like,
Yeah.
being able to create and collaborate. And I think also with COVID, like, that's another thing where everyone kind of realized, "Oh, okay, we don't even have to leave to be able to connect. We don't even have to
Yeah.
go to work. We can work remotely. We can do this, we can do that." So I think just, like, being able like, the shift in career path and, like, the way that careers typically worked, a few years
Yeah.
ago, 10 years ago, and now how some people don't even feel the need to go to school. They skip
Mm,
the school part, they go right into the experience, and they do great. So
yeah.
I think there's like infinite possibility, and then there's also the aspect of like emotional and mental health that
Mm,
needs to be taken into consideration too, because all the time I'm like thinking of The Shining, like just going crazy, stir
yeah.
crazy in one place, like
Yeah.
that we definitely need that like human connection. But like we were saying earlier, like using AI to do the stuff that we don't necessarily love, but still
Hmm.
having that like creative connection and being able to be doing the things we enjoy, the things we're passionate about is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like infinite possibilities for career collaboration. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people I've seen just personally, like on my feed and like just other people in the industry, like in my close network, like they'd rather come out of a like full-time position and do freelance work or contract work with multiple brands because they feel so stuck in one position or one
Mm,
industry, I guess. So like
yeah.
people in fashion are like, "Oh, like I would love to kind of dabble in beauty." And people in beauty are like, "Well, why don't we join forces and do this?" And then
Hmm.
there's that the even the food marketing or like the food experiential aspect of blending like beauty products with food products and doing that kind of marketing. So there's so many other ways that you can collaborate and like
Oh yeah.
experience these different industries now,
Mm,
which is super exciting. But I think people are realizing like, oh, I'm better off and I potentially could make more money if I were to become a freelancer and do this with multiple brands versus, being exhausted and like burning out at one company
Yes.
with only one type of product or one set collection of product versus, okay,
Yes.
we can do beauty, we can do food, we can do a collaboration with this brand, we can bring in, we can get into like the health side of things and do different
Mm-hmm.
collaborations and like special launches and things like that. So
Mm.
definitely infinite possibilities, and I think it's going to continue to go that way because there's so much potential and freedom in it
Yeah.
as well.
100%. 100%. Madeline, on that note, as we
Mhm.
wrap up the conversation, what would be, I guess, your top piece of advice for someone who is leading a marketing department, a social media team? What's your advice for that person for them to succeed in the next 12 months?
Okay, 12 months. So I think if I were to give some advice, it would be to always keep your mind open to like the next thing. Like, of course, don't go into anything where it's like, someone's just got a job and they're like, okay, well, I just need to get out of here. Like, I just need to do, this a year and we'll be out. But definitely don't like sell yourself short for the next thing that you're working on. I feel like a lot of times in my career, I've been like, so blinders on to kind of finish the product or the project that's right in front
Mm,
of me that I don't get the chance, and I wish someone would have told me this, like, "It's okay." It's like, like, it's gonna get done, like, don't sacrifice your peace of mind
yeah.
because you're trying to finish this project right here. Think about like long term, like, you're like everything is experience and don't sell yourself short. Like even if you
Mm,
feel like you're not in the right spot, you're, struggling a bit with like where you're at right now, don't sell yourself on like where you're gonna be in 12
mm,
months. And then also I think, yes, take advantage of AI, like use it as much as you can, but don't let it cripple you either. Because I
mm,
think once everyone gets so used to using it, it's really hard to come back from
yeah.
being like, on it or using it and not having to do certain things. And I think continue to read and touch grass. Those are like my two biggest things. Like, you please go outside.
Yes.
Like, don't get so caught up in the house where you can't have a conversation with a stranger on the street, Like
Yeah.
that's like one of the things where I'm like, I think a lot of people have experienced like after COVID or working remote, like they can't, have a conversation that's super light and like normal
Mm,
outside of work. Like don't hinder yourself. Again, don't
yeah.
use it to where you're crippling yourself and you can't think of things on the spot or have normal conversations with someone
Yeah.
using your own brain. And definitely like take care of your mental health, go outside, like feel the sun, like don't
Mm,
let work consume you because it'll
yeah.
all be there the next day anyways.
Yeah, yeah, until it's not, until there's no work left to be done by humans, and then what do we do?
I'm like, no. Oh, no.
Right?
Don't worry. We'll
We'll figure it
we'll
out.
we'll crash it before it goes
Yeah, I
before
know,
it goes
right?
to that. Just turn it off. It's fine.
Don't worry, we'll crash the car before it runs out of gas. No worries. Yeah, holy
Oh
smokes.
my gosh.
Madeline Hooper, where can we find more about you and about your projects?
I'm on Instagram, just my first and last name, how it's spelled, normal. And then all my work by madelinehooper.com. So marketing by madelinehooper.com, events by madelinehooper.com. Everything is by madelinehooper.com. So that's
Yeah,
it.
nice. Good stuff. And yeah, I hope people reach out to you. Is there a certain type of person that you specifically are hoping listens to this and reaches out to you to learn more?
Anyone who's interested in experiential marketing, who loves just like creative things and wants to, pick my brain, collaborate on like fun events. Yeah. I mean, pretty much anyone. Like I genuinely like hope some form of like students or people that are early on in their careers find this
Mm,
podcast and really like take advantage of it, because I feel like for me, like personally, I didn't have a lot of resources, like, and I came from a really small town. So I'm
mm,
always like, don't sell yourself short. Like I literally, my town was too small to have a movie theater, and I'm like in LA and like doing, fun things. So
whoa.
I just hope, someone is inspired and
Yeah.
keeps pushing and shoots for the moon.
Yeah.
because I did it,
Yeah.
and I hope I can
Yeah.
inspire someone else.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for being such a gracious guest.
Yeah,
And
thank you for having me. Thanks for my first one.
let's go. Let's go. Guess what? I am going to talk with you about the events as soon as we wrap up here because I have some
Okay.
collaboration ideas.
Okay, cool. Yeah, love it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Madeline. We'll talk to you next time.